I just keep going, right? Like no matter what goes wrong in a race or whatever, like I just sort of like keep going, right? And it's like people who think they're not runners or like they don't look like runners because like I said, like I was 300 pounds, I lost 100 pounds. I still don't look like a runner. So it's like me trying to, through run coaching and through everything, we need to tell people that like you can do it regardless of whatever it is that's going on in your mind. Like your body and mind are separate things and we need to bring those together.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out, episode 150. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. It's week whatever of the quarantine.
Yeah.
And you are my quarantine.
You know what, guys? I'm just going to be real honest. I am not feeling this podcast today. I am in a really, really bad mood. I'm ticked off that I'm still at work. I'm ticked off at the world, and I've been fighting mad since I woke up this morning. So I'm going to do my best to put that aside. If I don't laugh at Tom's jokes, that's why. I have no sense of humor today.
But rest assured, I am still funny.
Yes. Yes.
So you can tell because she didn't laugh at that.
Ha ha ha.
If there's anything I hate, it's when you fake it. Hey!
You got one.
I got one. Okay. Whew, God. You guys have to teach me how to limber up before we do one of these.
Well, we keep trying to tell you to exercise.
So what do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that is affecting the fitness world since the world has completely started to self-destruct.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it.
It's going to be all that. No, there's lots of other stuff.
It's not really just about the coronavirus. It's just stuff that's affecting Peloton, affecting, their competitors. And I put that in quotes, things like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the good stuff that you guys want to know. Things like what's going on with the instructors, what's new content, that type
celebrity
of thing.
sightings.
Exactly.
Things like that. So before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts where you can go and rate and review and most importantly, subscribe so you'd never miss an episode. And I haven't said it for a while, so I think I'll point out, don't forget that we're available wherever you get your podcasts, even places like Spotify. So nice and easy to get it. And don't feel like you can't subscribe or follow in multiple places. You never know where you're going to be.
It's true.
And you need access.
That is very true.
Have it there too. Just make
There's
your life
anything the
easier.
last few weeks have taught us, it's to be prepared.
It's that you never know.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have a new review.
Well, I want to hear it.
This is from John Dell NJ.
Okay. So New Jersey, presumably.
Presumably.
Okay.
Your one stop for Peloton news.
Aw.
If you're like me and not on Facebook, then this should be your first stop for Peloton news. Crystal and Tom bring you all the latest in a fun and easy listen.
Wow.
I've been listening for over a year and look forward to each new episode. Keep up the good work. Leaderboard name, John Dell.
Well, thank you, John.
With one L.
One L. Thank you, John. That was a very, very nice review. And if ever there were a day I could use some cheering, this is today. So thank you.
And also, while we are shamelessly plugging, don't forget that you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and you can also check out our brand spanking new website at theclipout.com, and you can sign up for the newsletter while you're there, and you will get all the weekly links and pictures and videos sent to you in one clean, concise email. Boom. Right to your inbox. Nice and easy. So that's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Sure.
It's time for news of the Peloton.
The Peloton Wife is back.
She is. She is. In a little different format this time.
Yes. So there's a thing called Cameo.
Yes.
Which is a website for celebrities.
Yeah, we've actually talked about it on the show before because I think some of the instructors belong to it.
Okay. But for celebrities that, I mean, you're not going to get Tom Hanks.
Right. Right.
But for a small fee, they'll record a special personalized video that can't be a commercial. says that.
I'm just laughing. You held up your finger to make your point.
But you can get them to record a special message for you. And so someone had her record a special message
to the guy who did the Citron report, is my understanding.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm reading this.
He was basically saying Peloton stock is a big giant turd and you should short sell it.
So for those of you who belong to the Clip Out group, you might have seen this a couple of weeks ago from Citron because Mike Kyle posted it. And if you follow Mike Kyle on Twitter, you would have seen it there as well because he's always keeping us abreast of the technological information. And he was not impressed, to say the least, with this piece of quote unquote research because there is no facts to it whatsoever. It's just like, well, I don't like it, so it shouldn't do well. I mean, that's pretty much what it boiled down to.
Right.
And Mike Kyle, in a subsequent conversation, said that a lot of their predictions, I'm calling there's a lot of quotes here, guys, so you have to picture them, that they're not true. They don't work out. And he gave me a pretty high number, and I don't know if that's accurate, so I don't want to state it.
Right.
Because we were both pretty ticked off when we were talking about it. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, but let's just say a high percentage don't happen. So if you haven't seen the video, it's pretty funny because she starts talking to the guy who wrote the actual research and says that, well, it's going to take more than a coronavirus to take down a company like Peloton. Or no, it was more like the ad was going to take more. I don't know. She talks about that whole thing and it's funny.
Yeah. But that's a fine example of something that if you sign up for the newsletter.
Yes, you'll be able to get the whole video.
Yeah, nice and easy delivered to your inbox. So also, CNBC had an interesting article about how they are predicting that Peloton will do even better post-coronavirus.
Yeah, so did you read this one?
Yeah, I skimmed it, and basically they're saying that, a lot of people are obviously talking about the fact that their stock is doing well at the moment because so many people are running out to buy a Peloton because they're stuck at home.
Right.
And that
it could be short-sighted.
It could be short-sighted that once the crisis is over, that it'll all go back to normal. And this article basically says what we were saying, last week, 2 weeks ago, which is, first off, once you buy it, you're kind of locked in, like you've got this major purchase. You're not going to stop using it, but that they think that part of the reason Peloton opened up their 90-day trial for the app was because they know how high the conversion rate is from the app to the bike. And so they're kind of using this as a way to lure people in because they know once they get there, they're going to dig it. And a lot of them are going to turn around and buy bikes. And so they're basically saying that, if you think that people are going to go back,
you got another thing coming. So it's interesting because I feel like with all these stock market analyst people, it's either really pro or really against. There's no middle ground. And I don't really read them except for Peloton. So I don't know. Maybe they're always like that.
I think they're always like that because it's the internet, and to cut through the clutter,
you got to take a stand.
Yeah, nobody's going to read an article about this stock is probably going to do okay-ish.
Well, I know that they exist because in a former life, many, many moons ago, I actually valued partnerships. So we did these valuations, and one of the things that I had to do as part of this job was I would go and do all the research of all the stocks that these partnerships owned.
Right.
And I had to find the backup for how you'd come up with those numbers. And so you had to find good analysis to back it up. So there are medium ones out there, but I think they're more on the financial sites that you can find, not when you dig into the financial research things that you can find out there you have to pay for.
Right.
There's some of that information, but this stuff is just
yeah, because I think ultimately these sorts of sites that are popping up on our radar, I don't think they're designed to try to get you to take stock advice. They're designed to drive clicks. So it is the financial industry's version of clickbait.
Interesting.
I think. And that's why everything's it's the best thing ever. Buy one share and you'll be a billionaire. Or if you buy this, the president of the NASDAQ is going to come and punch you in the dick.
Okay.
So that's my theory.
Gotcha.
That's my theory anyway. Also, there have been a couple big stock sales of Peloton stock recently. I know William Lynch sold off a bunch.
Yeah, and I think there were two pretty major sales.
There was a holding company of some kind that unloaded a bunch, but
But as you pointed out, and again, I think it was Mike Kyle that reached out to me, I think that they appeared to be, like once it hits a certain number, do this. It wasn't like...
Because I know the one sold at like, when it hit like, and I'm making up a number slightly, but it was like $24.51. And so it just made me think that they were like, when it hits $24.50, unload this much.
Right.
And because I think it's just some profit taking from these people.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And there's no indication, especially in the days post this, because it's been like a few days since they did that. Nothing else crazy has occurred. So I agree. That's what it was. But
it's so interesting to note.
Yeah, it is. And, some people got their feathers a little ruffled, but it turned out to be just fine.
Absolutely. And then we have a visit from the Peloton Prophet.
We do. Well, it was the Prophet actually visited us on Sunday.
That is true. We recorded a special video.
We did.
That we posted on Facebook for people to see. But in case you did not see that video, we should probably revisit that information because it was important information. And a lot of people were getting
a little upset,
a little bent out of shape.
So last week on the episode, we talked a lot about, Peloton was still filming and should they be? And that The Verge had written an article about that. So in case you didn't know, a lot of people are really emotional about this topic, including myself. Like, I don't mean that to pick on anybody who has strong emotions about it, because I'm not. It's just a really, really divisive topic. So there were lots of people that are, as we start to dig into this, you start questioning, like, well, what about the people who are cleaning the building?
Right.
And what about the
camera operators,
the production crew? And how are they getting there? And are they being safe? And are they taking private cars? I mean, and we started to go down this whole rabbit hole of like what this looked like when none of us actually knew.
Right.
So I got a call from the Peloton Prophet, and the Peloton Prophet set me straight on a few things, because for the first time ever, we had to close down a post. Like, we had to delete an entire thread.
It was getting very heated.
It was.
Because people were basically operating under the assumption that there were people going in to work for Peloton and it was not safe and they did not want to, but they didn't have a choice.
Yes. And also that they're walking around the city of New York after they've done that and spreading around Corona.
Right.
Which just to be clear, I get it. I get
Absolutely.
why everyone is scared and worried. And I do not want to act like anybody concerned about this has nothing to worry about, just to be very clear. But anyway, fast forwarding to the Peloton Prophet called us and said, hey, here is what I'm seeing going on. One, only the people who want to be there have to be there. It is on a voluntary basis. You are not required to report to work. Apparently, there is banked a emergency PTO bucket, and they are allowed to draw from that. So they are not sitting at home making the choice, do I work or get paid?
Right.
And those are the people that are coming in, reportedly are only taking bike transportation, their own bikes, or walking. Those are the ways they're getting to work. And that's why you're seeing a very small selection of the instructors doing the same class, not the same classes, but doing classes.
Right.
It's not the entire
spectrum of instructors. It's if somebody lives in Queens, then they're not gonna come in.
Exactly. Like Jen Sherman, she lives over in Jersey. She's not coming in. She's staying at home where she should be,
right,
and not taking public transportation. So, to me, this was really important to know because I felt like Peloton was making all the right choices. They have always done the things as a company that I want them to do as a consumer, not because I said so, because they're making the right choices, just to be clear. But it was a relief to hear that happening.
Absolutely. So we just wanted to share that once again for people that maybe didn't see that video.
Yep.
And if you wish you had known this a couple days ago, all the more reason to like the page, join the group.
Absolutely. And I just want to mention one other thing about this. There were rumors going around that production was going to stop on the 31st. And I pointed this out then, but I feel like people, again, are just very upset. They are only posting classes a day or two in advance. They're not posting all the live classes like they used to. And I think because of this voluntary measure,
right, and
because they're not sure who all is going to be able to come in. So, if you don't see a schedule, don't panic. Like, it's only out a couple of days. And if it, everybody thought, oh, there's no classes after the 31st. And then a class popped up on the 1st. And then they were like, well, but that's over in another country. And even over on the UK page, there was just kind of a freak out happening. So, don't panic. Either way, whatever your feelings on the situation are, they should be filming, they shouldn't be filming. The point being that until we hear something from official from Peloton, I think we just need to assume they're going to operate like this until this horrible, horrible situation is behind us, or until they are absolutely told they must shut down.
Business Insider had an article about the New York City Food Bank charity ride.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this is that it raised so much money and there was like no publicity. This was not done within the Peloton realm of Facebook the way it usually is.
Sure.
None of my typical contacts reached out to me. I knew nothing about this. And other people have reached out to me and said, I didn't know anything about this. How did this happen?
Yeah.
So I just found that kind of interesting.
Totally.
All by itself.
And it was organized by Axios business editor Dan Primack. Primack? I don't know.
Let's say Primick.
Okay. But yeah, he got over 600 people to race for charity using their bikes or apps and raised $120,000 for the food bank for New York City.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing. And of course, you know, that was inspired by what Peloton did last weekend when they had all those rides, or maybe it was 2 weekends ago. All the days are running together. But that's really cool. And I don't have all the details on it yet, but I heard there's going to be a similar kind of grassroots kind of thing happening in Chicago. They are going to be raising it for their local food bank as well. They've reached out to us to let us know it's happening. And as soon as I have the details, then we will talk about it on the show and post about it. So keep an eye out because you'll be able to donate money directly to the Chicago Food Bank.
Awesome. You know, you were talking about just how you've been in kind of a bad mood today.
Yeah.
And so what a great time. What a great time to have part of your workout routine be about beating the shit out of something.
Oh my God, that's so true. It is true. Yeah.
I mean, people talk about what a release exercise is for them. And certainly Peloton, whether it's the bike or the tread or yoga or what have you, is a great release. But so's punching something.
Yeah.
So's punching something right in the goddamn throat.
Have you been using my Fight Camp without telling me?
No, I have not. But does the Fight Camp, is there like a throat that you can punch? Do they have like
you can pretend there's a throat.
Could they make like a throat edition? Like you could buy like a throat pack that you could punch?
I don't know. We can ask.
Okay.
We can ask. We can put it. Maybe they have like a similar to what Peloton does for Feature Friday.
Right.
Maybe they have something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything like that, but I know they're open to suggestions. So maybe we'll reach out and see if they can put together
just blue sky
a throat that you can punch.
Just blue sky
now,
in here, Fight
let
Camp.
me ask you this.
Yeah.
If they create one, are you going to use it?
Well, no, it's still exercise.
Tom, I'm not going to waste my time asking.
Okay, if they create one, I will punch one throat.
Okay.
One punch. It won't be.
You guys heard it here first.
It won't be a very good punch.
Why not?
Because it's mine.
Well, but if you have like all that pent up anger.
I don't really have anger.
I know. It's kind of annoying sometimes.
Sometimes my lack of anger makes you angrier.
There's times. Could be.
So better not be my throat that you're thinking about punching.
I wasn't picturing they were going to do like a specific throat.
No, I just meant in your head. Don't have it be my throat.
No.
So how has the throat punching been going?
It's been going great. I used it again this week. I've been kind of working through the prospect path, and I worked out with a new instructor. Her name is Shani Smash.
What an odd turn of events that her last name would be Smash, and then she ends up working in the boxing realm.
It really is.
It's quite the coinky dink.
It is. But you know, it was really great. She was very good at explaining what she wanted me to do, and it was a really, really tough workout. Y'all, like, I know that some of you are like, okay, it's a punching bag, you know, whatever. How different can it be? Okay, picture this. Not only are you punching the bag, but then you start doing squats and then punching the bag. And then you do some planks and you punch the bag while you're doing the planks. And then throw in some sit-ups at the top of the sit-up, punch the bag. She was not playing around, like, at all. And my stomach hurt and my arms hurt the whole next day. Like, it was intense. And I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, I will say I was walking through the room to get a comic book because that's where I keep them.
Right.
And you were drenched.
Yeah, man, I couldn't believe my own selfie when I took the picture when I was done, because that was only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I had just gotten done doing a tonal just before that. So I was like, oh, I'll throw in the cardio, you know?
Yeah.
Who knew 15 minutes could do that?
Well, you do now.
Yeah.
Well, if you're at all interested, you can check them out at joinfightcamp.com.
And if you do buy one, then don't forget to tell them the Clip Out sent you in the survey that they do at the end.
Yes, please. So NordicTrack is kind of upping their game.
Yeah.
It's an interesting promotion they have going on.
It is. I mean, I do agree with that, but I'll put it this way. If you're going to buy something besides Peloton, I don't think you can get hurt with a NordicTrack. But when I say get hurt, I mean financially.
Right.
Because you could get hurt with a NordicTrack. One of the things that they have that I really don't like is that they create a situation where they increase the resistance for you. And I really, really don't like that, because there's so many people, especially when you're new, you don't know what you can handle or what you can't handle. So to put a person in a situation where it's just everybody's going to go up this hill, we're all going to go together, I don't think that's a great idea.
No, I get that.
Can't even picture like my parents on one of those, you know, like,
Yeah.
why is it going up, honey? I don't understand. You know, I didn't tell it to do that. So anyway, but if you're looking for a deal and you just don't want to do Peloton, or maybe you can't afford Peloton, this is now available for $39 a month, but that is paying off the bike and your membership all built into one fee.
So it's basically they're throwing in a bike, which it makes you wonder,
how sturdy can that bike be?
well, not even that so much, is like it makes me wonder if they're not seeing the same benefit as people kind of coronavirus panic buy home equipment, if they're not getting the same bump that other fitness outlets are, because that seems like a pretty steep sale to be having.
Well, you know, maybe they're not, because I would think a lot of people who are buying NordicTrack might be on the older age of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And there's just a whole bunch of, like, when you get to a different generation, they look at it differently.
Right.
And so maybe they're not like, this is a good time to go out and buy exercise equipment, if that is even happening.
Yeah. And, you know, they might be getting sales also just because Peloton's so swamped. Some of the delivery times are getting long, and so there might be people out there that are like, well, if I can get a NordicTrack, I guess I'll get that.
Yeah, that is true.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame.
But
I've even heard that some people are complaining about Peloton delivering them on the doorsteps. They don't like that.
I get why they don't like that, but I also get why they're doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean,
it's the right call.
It is
just to be clear.
It is absolutely the right call, not just for the safety of the people who don't like it, but the safety of the people who have to deliver it.
Exactly.
But it's, yeah, definitely a little short-sighted.
Yes.
On the people complaining.
Yeah, that was more of just like a little side note I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if you really want to get one, there you go.
There it is. So there was an article in the Scarsdale News about a Scarsdale-based Peloton Facebook group.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, it's just like, we just thought this was kind of fascinating that in the middle of all this, there's this group, Scarsdale's Pedal Over Panic. And they are focused on all things Peloton, so the treadmill, the app, and the bike. And they're just like raking in the miles while they're completely locked down. And it's a group that apparently only started because of the coronavirus, or at least this challenge only started because of it. The
whole article is kind of a little weird. Like, I'm thinking like maybe the person who wrote it is in the group.
I don't know if they're in the group, but I do know that Tanya Singer, who is the person who kind of started this whole thing, according to this article, I have definitely seen her around in the Peloton pages.
Yeah, and it's just funny because it's like, first off, it's a pretty lengthy article. It is. It's a long article. It's a well-written article. Like, I'm not bagging on it, but for something that is kind of like not that uncommon of a news thing, of people started a Facebook group about Peloton, and then especially when they're like, it launched on March 11th and it already has 116 members, and I'm just like, again, it's hyper local. Like,
right.
That, like, so I'm not even bagging on it, but it just, I do kind of like scratch my head and I'm like, what about this meant?
Because
Let's put
I
it in the
picture,
newspaper.
I don't know how big Scarsdale is, but
Sure.
I picture it like when I lived in, locally, I lived in Jefferson County, and they had like a local newspaper down there.
Yeah.
And they would post all the community news. So you would see birth notices and marriages and all kinds of things like that. And of course, other things going on throughout the neighborhood. And so I kind of pictured it as one of those local newspapers like that. So I think that's why. And this was all about local life. So I think that they really like the idea that if they can't see each other outside, they could see each other inside on the bike. So they were still connecting with their physical neighbors in a different way. And I think that's what kind of struck people about it.
Okay. And ultimately, I don't even really know where Scarsdale is.
I don't know.
Maybe there's more than one Scarsdale. Maybe I was thinking it was bigger, but maybe there's a smaller one.
That's a really good question.
But I do know that Greece is coming to the Edgemont. Edgemont High School. Yeah, maybe this is smaller.
See?
So anyway, it was a nice article. I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm really not.
And it was really fun too. The way that it was nice to see it celebrated. And I like that it was like one of our own in the news. And like also it didn't come to us. It didn't pop up in any of our normal places. So it was kind of fun to find it.
I was just digging around on the internet and doing a search, doing a deep dive. And there it was. And I was like, I'm like, have you heard of this? And you hadn't. And I was like, holy cow. It's a pretty rare day that I find something that you have not already been made aware of.
That's true.
So
that is true.
Well, pat on the back to me.
Good job, Tom.
And there, something else I found.
Yes, you were on a roll last week.
I was a new Peloton celebrity sighting.
So tell us about the celebrity.
Terry McMillan.
There's people who don't know who that is, so you have to give some details.
So she is a very famous author, and she wrote How Stella Got Her Groove Back and Waiting to Exhale. She's written many other things, but those I think are the two books that which both got turned into a movie. Right. Those are, I think, the two works that the uninitiated are most likely to know. I would agree with that. And so I just thought that was really cool. It is really cool. Yeah. You've been finding all kinds of people on Twitter. I have. I've just been kind of doing some searching on there just to see what pops up. And she popped up talking about how much she is enjoying her Peloton during this time. Well, that's really cool. I'm glad. I'm glad that it's working for so many people on so many levels. Absolutely. And then the Wall Street Journal had an article about Stephen Curry. So I think people call him Steph Curry. Stephen Curry? Just Steph. Steph? I think. Okay. I'm not good with the sports. Same. But he is a huge Peloton fan. Yes. We should also say that we noticed in the background of one of the pictures of his workout room that he also has a tonal. Yes. And his wife works out on both as well. Okay. So Tonal and Peloton, they both do that. And I guess he's got the whole team. So is he a Globetrotter? I don't know. I think he's just a basketball, what NBA star. No, I know. I was trying to figure out what team he was on. I have no idea. But I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. We should know this. Did you know he's the best shooter in the history of basketball? Really? Yep. Better than Meadowlark Lemon? I mean, it literally says that as the first line of this article. That he's better than Meadowlark Lemon? It says he's the best shooter in the history of basketball. And I have to sign in because it's Wall Street Journal and I'm not logged in on this stupid computer. I know, I'm not either. Hang on, let me pull it up on my phone. This is ridiculous. This is the kind of mood I've been in all day, you guys. Right here. You're seeing it live. Ugh. Okay. All right. So it's and just so you know, they call him Steven in this, like Stephen or Stefan. I don't know. Yeah. But they don't call him Steph. Put it that way. Well, anyway, he had been stuck at home for more than 2 weeks and he couldn't shoot a basket. So even though he's the best shooter of all time, he didn't have a place to shoot. Well, that's weird. You'd think most of those guys have some sort of at least a miniature court at their house because it's kind of the gig and they got the money. I agree. It's surprising, but I guess when you have like a gym that you constantly work out in. Yeah. Well, so his wife ordered him a hoop that he could put up in his driveway. But get this, Tom. Yes. You guys have a little bit in common. He said the solution caused another problem because he got overwhelmed looking at the manual.
He says, after what could only be described as a pretty serious effort, Curry finally succeeded at his unexpected assembly job. It only took him 5 hours.
Oh, that does sound like me. That would so be me.
He said, but this is not you. I was very confident in myself going in. That was shot down pretty quick.
Yes, I would have started with no confidence at all.
You would have.
I have no illusions.
So that was pretty funny. That was pretty cute.
But yeah, so they go on to talk about Peloton and that I guess he's got he's challenging other people on the team and they're all starting to incorporate it into their workouts.
Yeah, he says that NBA players are communicating by Zoom, even as they have no clue when they'll see each other again next and when they'll play again or when they need to be peaking in their conditioning. They are keeping in shape while sheltering in place, which is a bit like training for a marathon, that it could be 3 weeks or 3 months. So they're stuck between tapering and the basketball equivalent of running 20 miles. So the Warriors.
Warriors.
That's the team he's on.
There are so many people
my God, they're yelling at us.
Yelling at their podcast delivery device that are like, come on. I saw a thing once on Twitter where somebody said the closest you will ever come to feeling like a ghost is when a podcast doesn't know something and you do. And you're just screaming it at your iPhone.
Yep, we couldn't hear you. Sorry. Okay, so here's what happens. They ride together as a group almost every morning. And it says that the invitation goes out in a Slack group. Apparently, he skipped one because he didn't see the message. And then a maniacally competitive bicyclist named Draymond Green attempts to destroy everyone around him, according to a person familiar with the rides. So Curry says, in the Tour de Warriors, I'm above average, but I'm not on the podium yet. I have to figure out how to get there. There's always something to shoot for.
It's funny to think that someone that works at that level still has people that he can't keep up with.
Absolutely,
and
right?
That should give inspiration and solace to everyone.
Also, not that he's listening, but keep in mind, people's bikes are jacked.
There is also that.
So there are not everybody, but there are those. So you really can't compete equally. What a fun story.
Yeah.
It's a feel-good story and all this doom and gloom.
We could use a few of those.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of workout equipment in your home.
Yes.
You can still win a tonal.
You can. You can.
It's very, very simple.
I hope you are going out and answering the questions every week, because this week, by the time this airs, week 4, the question for week 4 will be up.
So if you go to theclipout.com/tonal, very easy. Mm-hmm. And we'll also put it in the newsletter and put it on our Facebook page and all that. But if you just can't wait for all that, clipout.com/tonal. You can go there, enter. There'll be a question a week, and you got to answer the question to enter. But there's also all sorts of other things that you can do to enter, like share it with friends or follow Crystal on Instagram or find a tonal on Instagram or Facebook or whatnot. There's all sorts of different ways to get extra entries, which people have really been gobbling up.
Yes, it's very competitive. All the different, I love looking at they have a leaderboard, and it shows you how many actions each person has taken. And since you don't win that way specifically, I'm not going to say who's at the top of that leaderboard, but it's fascinating to watch, y'all. And some of you are very crafty. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
But it's within the rules.
It is.
If it's a third-party software, and if they allow it, then they allow it.
It's noted. I'm just saying.
But we're watching you.
We're watching.
And
we're watching.
And we're silently judging.
And I love all these people totally shit talking each other.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. It got a little heated on our Zoom call.
It did.
This week.
Yeah.
Some people wanting some extra entries for the Zoom call. It didn't get heated. It was just tons of fun.
No, it was just people being fun. But but the Zoom call was also fun.
It was very fun. We turned it into a cocktail hour because Terry Shelley suggested it, and only Terry Shelley and I drank, but that's okay.
At least you weren't drinking alone.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, that's our second one now, and those are fun, and we hang out for an hour or so, and if you would like to be included on the next one, that's yet another fine reason to join the group. on Facebook because that's where we post the links.
You know, people keep telling me they're not hearing about this. So let me also say that you can change your settings so that you get notifications when we post. So you might want to go in and do that. If you don't know how and you're interested, reach out to Tom or I and we will hook you up.
Yeah, we'll explain it. But yeah, you can get notifications whenever we post. And you don't post that much.
No, I don't.
It's not like you'll suddenly start getting peppered with notifications. It's just when we see a story or something, we post it, but that is a good way to be able to partake in that if you would like to.
And I will also say that look for them on the weekends, and I'm going to try to start doing a group ride or run on the weekends. I'm just going to start posting when I'm working out. You guys can either join or not join, but you know, we had some folks ask about that, and we enjoyed the group. Well, I enjoyed the group bicycle ride that we did. That was a lot of fun. So we'll keep doing that as well. But it's really great to connect with people in a different way. And it kind of just turned into a fun Q&A last time. And it was a lot of fun hearing from everybody. We had a horse on the Zoom call.
We did have a horse.
How many of you guys can say on all the Zoom calls you've been on lately, working from home, how many of you had horses? Not
counting horse's ass.
No. That's real horse.
That's a different thing.
And this horse's name was Ace. He was an ace. I know it was cheesy. I don't care.
And then dance cardio is here.
It is. Man, what a great timing. I really think this is something they were going to announce at Homecoming. Yeah. I think this was part of their new features, but they went ahead and dropped it. They put up 5 new classes last week for dance cardio, and I'm so glad they did because it just feels like you're at a dance party, except you don't have to be in front of other people when you do it. Unless you're at our house and Tom's videoing.
I thought the listeners might want to see you dance.
Oh, that was terrible.
And my son.
We were having so much fun, though, and that is what matters.
Absolutely.
What a great way to spend 20 minutes with a 15-year-old who doesn't want to do anything besides play video games. Like, for real, I got him up off the couch, and he loved it. He had a great time doing it.
You got tired out because you had just done...
I did 2 other workouts.
I think a run and a tonal.
Yeah.
And but he kept going even when you stopped, so he must have been having fun.
He was.
And then finally, there's a new line dropping.
Yes, this is brand new information.
Yes.
Brand new from the Peloton Profits. So that's 2 visits. You're welcome. April 4th, new line. Look for it.
So tune up your computers so you can hop in there and get at it.
Yep.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of Skype is Tamara Cella.
Hi.
Hi, how are you guys?
That is a fun name to say.
It really is.
I have a weird question for you about your name. Have you found throughout your life that people tend to refer to you first and last name all at once because it's got such a flow? Tamara Cella.
No, actually, most people call me Tammy. They don't even call me Tamara.
Okay.
Oh.
I've stumbled across people like this in my life that people call by their first and last name.
Because it's just easier.
Because, like, I used to work with a guy named...
and it flows.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy named Joe Barr.
And everybody just said Joe Barr?
Everybody just called him Joe Barr. Like, no matter what, people would be like, hey, Joe Barr. And I'm like, you kind of sound like a Star Wars character. It's kind of awesome. Oh, we just made it out of the Sarlacc pit thanks to Joe Barr. So, I don't know. That's probably all I'll have to bring to the equation for the interview. So, you know.
Now that we went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Or Sarlacc
pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you find Peloton?
How did I find Peloton? I found Peloton, I want to say it's like been 3 years now. I don't know, got back into the swing. I was like working out and I was taking spin classes at the gym and my schedule was very hectic with work and being in school and everything. And I was like, there has to be a way that I can like just take classes online. And like, fortunately it existed because if it didn't, I would be rich right now. But so I found the app and like after I found the app, I didn't even realize that there was a bike at first. Like I just started taking classes on the app and then I was like, oh wait, there's a bike. And I tried the bike the first time at, I was traveling and I was in Studio 3 in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, ooh, this is nice. This is nice. Like, this is way better than the spin bike at the gym. And I bought one like right away. Like payment planned it out and a few years ago.
So I'm curious, when you search for something like that, how did you find the app but not the bike? Did you like just search in the app store to see if there was something, or were you like doing a Google search?
I Google searched like online spin classes, and Peloton, the app was like the first thing that came up.
I feel like they're not doing
I downloaded it. It was free for 7 days, and I think the first class I took was with Robin, and like she like fisherman, like hook, line, and sinkered me into it.
Fisherman. I feel like that's interesting because I'm hearing more of that lately. That because we just interviewed somebody the other day that kind of had a similar background, but they didn't know that there was even an app or there was even a bike. And I'm like, are they just not pushing the bike whenever they're pushing the app? Like,
well, I feel like it's like over the past few, like you can't turn on the TV for 15 minutes without seeing a commercial now.
Yeah.
Right. So like that, I feel like if you're missing the bike at this point, like you're missing out on something. Because it's everywhere.
I have a marketing theory.
Okay.
I wonder if they're pushing the app for people that are maybe price sensitive to the bike. It's like, we'll get them in on the app.
I mean, that's kind of what they said on the earnings call, that's even why they lowered the price of the app, because they wanted to, because they're seeing in their results that a lot of people, once they start on the app, are like, okay, I'll get the bike.
You got me. Like you found.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it was about 3 years ago. And so what was your fitness like at that time?
So I had just started working out again. So like my like past history, I was like over 300 pounds at one point. I like lost 100 pounds, and like it's kind of like ebbed and flowed with like really being into like working out and like I don't want to work out at all kind of thing. So I had just started like I was working out, like I joined the gym by my job so I could work out every day during lunch. So like that's kind of like where I was at, was just like getting back into like the flow of like heavily working out like 6 days a week.
Okay. And then I know that you started with marathons. Where did that come into all of like your journey, your Peloton journey?
So like not long after I started like with the app and like working out again, I was approached by a colon cancer charity to run the New York City Marathon for them and raise money. And so my dad is a colon cancer survivor. And when he was in the hospital and when he was sick, we literally sat down and watched the New York City Marathon one day. And he was like, you should do that. And like at the time, I'm like 312 pounds. I'm like, sure, Dad, I'll, get right on that.
You're like, here's a thought, go F yourself.
Exactly. And so like when like I got the email from the colon cancer charity, it kind of was like that, like sort of like perfect little like, wow, like this would be like a really cool thing to do in like honor of him because it was his idea and all of that. And like, it was just like one of those, like I didn't even think about it. Like I printed the application and I faxed it in, and as soon as like I hit the send button on the fax, I was like, oh no.
Oh dear God.
What have I done?
What did I just do? Like now I actually have to run this damn thing. Like the money part, I didn't even think about raising the money part of it. It was just like, oh God, now I have to like run 26 miles. And so after like the fear and everything, I could call my dad. I was like, guess what I'm doing? And he was like, oh, that's nice.
What?
And I was like, what? Right? And I was like, don't you remember? Like you said this when he was in the hospital. He was like, no. Oh, like, Jesus Christ.
Now I've done all this for nothing.
You're like, I've been scarred for years. And,
Pretty much. Pretty much. I was like, okay, great. Thanks, Dad. But I trained and I ran it, and it wasn't, I'm not Bex at all. I am, back of the pack runner. I get to the finish line, like out of breath on all fours, and that's fine. But so after I ran the first one, it kind of like, it's this weird addiction, right? It's like, all right, like that, I hated it. Let's do it again.
I know. Right? What is that? I don't even understand it. It doesn't even make sense.
I don't understand it.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. So when you decided to run the marathon, like you had not done any preparation before deciding? You just were like...
No, not at all. I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. And I think, so normally you're supposed to have like 16 weeks of training before the marathon. I think I had about 12.
What?
So I signed up like 12 weeks out. And so this was like so long ago, like Matt Wilpers still had marathon training plans on his website. Wow. So it was like running, and it incorporated the bike, and it had everything. So I followed his beginner plan for my first race.
Wow. That's...
I am stunned.
I'm like toggling back and forth between like impressed and a little appalled. Like, even though you've already done it and accomplished it and came out the other side okay, I'm still retroactively worried for you.
How many wake up every day? It's fine.
How many days of recovery did it take after you were done?
So during the race, I actually ended up with a stress fracture in my foot. Yeah, it was 2017 and it was like raining and I slipped. And like, so if you guys are familiar with the New York City Marathon, right before you come onto the 59th Street Bridge, which is supposed to be like the worst part of the race, every time I like put my foot down, the pain just shot up my leg. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, this is not going to be good. So then I was like running, walking, limping, crying for like the remainder of the race. But I'm like, I'm not stopping. Like, I'm not.
And how long is
stopping.
that?
Like, I just have to keep going.
How long was left in the race?
I think that's about mile 15 or 16.
Oh, okay.
So I still had 10 to go.
Chunk, yeah.
Wow.
And so people who were tracking me, like, I start getting all these text messages. They're like, you're slowing down. Like, what happened? And I'm like, everything is fine. And I like put my phone in airplane mode. I'm like, I'm not dealing with anybody right now.
Also, why did they ever think you would answer?
Right.
Right?
I feel like you got a text from your dad that was like, oh, is that today?
Yeah, thankfully my parents were at the finish line and I did text them because I gave them like my, projected finish time. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit longer.
Go get some lunch.
So yeah, I finished. And then after that is when we found out that I had a stress fracture in my foot. But I was like, it's all right, we're going to do another one. We're going to keep going. And that's when I found out about the World Marathon Majors. So like there's 6 marathons all over the world. You run them and get this, literally you get a special piece of iron. Like I'm doing all of this for a medal.
A really cool medal.
It's really cool. And not that many people have one. But like I ran Chicago and I had a brace on my thigh because I had piriformis syndrome. And the brace ripped my leggings and then there's like blood gushing out of my thigh. So like I threw the brace away and like finished the race with, I have never had such horrible like skin chafing in my life.
Oh my God.
Berlin Marathon, what happened in Berlin? Oh, Berlin, I drank their, whatever they were giving out on like the race course. It was like some kind of weird beet juice. And I ended up throwing up twice. London was good. London was a good race. There was beer stops. So London was fun.
It was a
Boston
fun throwing
Marathon.
up. It's fun throwing up when it's beer. Yeah.
Right? I ran the Boston Marathon last year. So I ran Boston for charity last year. I raised a ton of money for Dana-Farber. And like, I want to say like 7 days before the race, my dog gave me a concussion.
What?
And
wait, you got to back up.
so-
Okay. Hold on. We got to understand how your dog gave you a concussion.
Yeah. I'm like, can you be in an abusive relationship with a dog? How does that work?
He's 110 pounds. He's a big, giant boy, and he sleeps on my bed. And so when he gets into bed, he makes his bed, right? Like he puts his blanket in his mouth, he shakes it out.
Oh my God.
And just this like weird sort of me climbing into the bed as he was shaking his head. And his giant head hit me in the temple.
Oh.
And like totally passed out, like saw stars, the whole thing.
Yikes.
My sister's a nurse. I called. I'm like, I think I might have a concussion. She was like, I think you have to go to the doctor. And so I went to the doctor and he was like, yeah, he's like, you should not be doing this. And I was like, it was too late to defer. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And mostly because of the fundraising. So I passed out at between mile 10 and 11, didn't stop. Some wonderful man next to me, like grabbed me. And like, when I came to and he was like, let's go to medical. And I was like, no, if I go to medical, they're gonna make me stop. Like, I'm just gonna keep going. And I finished the race, but I didn't finish in enough time. So I ran the whole Boston Marathon last year and it doesn't count.
How much did you miss it by?
Like 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
That's
and my
brutal.
sister lives in Boston. So she that like what they call like that iconic turn onto Boylston Street. Like I see her on the corner. She has flowers, balloons. She's so happy for me. And I am bawling. And so she finally like reaches me and she's so excited. Like she thinks that I'm crying because I'm so happy. And I was like, no, like I need to do this effing race again. Like it didn't count. Like nothing I just did, like nothing counts. And she was like, oh, like, sorry. Like you just saw like all of like the joy just like drain from her face. I was like, yep,
Okay, that's heartbreaking.
It is.
So
Yeah.
how many
Yeah.
marathons, including Boston, because we include Boston,
Yeah.
even if they don't,
Yes.
how many marathons
Yes.
have you run?
So far it's been 6.
Wow.
And then I have Tokyo on March 1st of this year. And then I am back in Boston again this year.
Wow.
Yeah, this year I'm running for a charity called Team Inspire. And all of my friends who know this my story and everything, they're like, yeah, that's the team for you.
And why is
because
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and why? You already were going there. Sorry.
Oh no, because everything I just keep going, right? No matter what goes wrong in a race or whatever, I just sort of keep going, right? And it's people who think they're not runners or they don't look like runners because I said, I was 300 pounds, I lost 100 pounds. I still don't look like a runner. So it's me trying to, through run coaching and through everything, we need to tell people that you can do it regardless of whatever it is that's going on in your mind. Your body and mind are separate things and we need to bring those together.
And who cares if you look like a runner? Losing 100
exactly.
pounds, that is phenomenal. And I hope you are really proud of that because that is amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what makes you look like a runner?
Running,
putting on the sneakers. Yeah, I coach other girls and we start them out with sort of a personalized couch to 5K program. And it's I'm not going to be able to do the running part. Why? Yes, you are. You absolutely are. Or it's people will start running and different Facebook groups. They'll be I was out and all these runners passed me and they were going so much faster. I don't feel like a runner. Who cares? You're out there, you're putting in the work. You're a runner. And so over the weekend, I ran the Miami half marathon and it was hot. It was really, really hot. Body wasn't prepared for it. But around mile 13, there was a woman and she was walking. And there was a gentleman on the side and he starts yelling at her, you didn't come this far to walk. This woman stopped her race, went over to the side, got in this man's face and said, I'm out here. What are you doing? I was yes. She said other colorful things that I won't say on here, but I'm yes, that was the highlight for me yesterday. She was doing what she had to do and you're out there. You know what I mean? I'm out here. You're not. Shut up.
I'm really glad you said that because whenever I was doing my one half marathon that I've done, which was part of the relay for the half Ironman and in Atlantic City, and there were people that were run, you're walking, don't walk. And I felt very ashamed because, I mean, it's hard not to feel that way. Everybody else is running and you're at the back of the pack and you're walking and it sucks. It sucks.
No, it's, as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, it doesn't matter how you get there. And with a lot of runners too, there's the Galloway method, right? Where you specifically run and walk for periods of time. And people are always oh, well, this isn't really running. Yeah, it is. Yes, it absolutely is.
If you complete within the time, that counts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, even if you walked the entire thing, that's still more than most people do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If I drive 26.2 miles, I count it as a marathon.
Okay, maybe you're too easy on yourself, Tom.
Well, I was out there, though.
No, you weren't.
Oh, that's true. I wasn't.
You were in the car.
Maybe
had the windows
if there's
down.
Traffic. I'll give it to you if there's traffic.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in traffic.
Don't give it to him. Don't make
Come
it
on,
easier.
she's helped me out. Don't be mean to the guests. I say this to her all the time. You normally cut it out, but I say it a lot.
Okay, so back to the weight loss. How did you lose the weight? What changes did you make?
So honestly, complete transparency, some of it was not the most healthy way. I stopped eating for a while and got very dizzy and very sick and nobody could figure out what was wrong. And it comes to that place where everybody's oh my God, you're losing so much weight. You look so great. Right. And it's people never really know what's behind that. So it's as somebody who struggled with my weight since I was 8 years old, finally sort of losing weight and getting that recognition, it was okay, I'm doing something right until you realize no, I'm actually making myself very sick by doing this. So I lost a lot of it a bad way. And then after that, I sort of started just paying attention to the things that I was eating. I'm not a person, if I track my food, it becomes obsessive, right? So I can't do that. but I am more like aware of things. And I have to say, like, running 100 miles every week helps.
Good Lord.
I do have a sweet tooth, right? Like, I try not to also deprive myself, right? Because like that's like the other thing. Like, as soon as you say something is off limits, it's like 11:30 at night. Like, what do you want? Like, you want the one thing that like you couldn't have all day.
Yeah.
So like really like working with that. I've worked with nutritionists in the past, and like I finally have like a good handle on everything. But most of it was not lost in the best way.
Okay, so not recommended that anybody follow that.
Yeah, don't do that. You need to eat. And like that's like the other thing. Like you'll be in like I'll be in different Facebook groups and like even friends of mine, and like, you know, they'll start talking about these like crazy diets, and I'm like, oh, like no, like I've been there, right? Like we need to think like long term. Like yes, like cutting out, I don't know, however many calories you're dropping down to a day, and you know, at the end of the week you might have lost 5 pounds. But like long term, like what does that look like? Long term for your health? What does that look like long term when like you finally like pick up the fork and have a piece of cheesecake again? All that kind of stuff. So I am not a professional in any sense of the word, but I do try to like use my past experience to like sort of like help people like see the other side of things.
Which I think is great. So if you're running 100 miles a week though.
No, I was totally exaggerating. No, not 100.
I was like, good Lord. What? Do you work? Because I have no idea. Like, I mean, for real, I know you said you're in the back of the pack, but like legit, I am so slow that like to do that many miles, because there are people that do 100 miles a week. That's a thing. Not
they're insane. No, I'm probably, well, right now I'm like at the peak of like training. So I'm probably averaging right now between 40 and 50 a week.
Wow. Man. That's still great. I mean, that's a lot of miles when you're running, because like, I mean, if you think about it and put it into perspective, if you ran, like you said, 6 days a week and you're running 5 miles a week, that's only 24 miles, or 25 miles every time you do it. 6 times 4 is only 24. So like you're running so many miles. I'm just putting it out there for people, especially people who listen, who only ride the bike. Like 40 miles sounds like nothing when you're on a bike, but comparatively for a week time period, right? That doesn't sound like that much, but my God, running, that's brutal. Do you have like a bunch of like injuries all the time? I mean, it sounds like you've had so many as you've done the marathons, but it sounds like it was the day of. So
so the stress fracture was day of. The only thing that I really battled for a while was, they said it was piriformis syndrome. So like just like kind of like butt pain that like shot down my thigh. And so in the sort of my off season, I joined a gym again and like started lifting heavy weights to like build up my thighs and my butt and like all of that. And I have to say, and I'm not near anything that's wood, so if you are, please knock on it, that I haven't had that problem since I have started lifting.
That's great. That is good to know.
And that's something that runners also need to like get behind. They're like, oh no, I don't want to lift weights, I'm a runner. No, like you need to. Right? Like, yes, it's a cardio activity, but like every single muscle in your body is working when you're running. And like, we need to make sure that those are strong. Like I said, 12 weeks before a marathon, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So like now that like I've sort of like, I have become a coach and like I have this knowledge now, it's like now it all kind of like comes together and makes sense.
I think especially when you're starting out with running, because you're using so many, I know that a lot of people who listen ride the bike, and if you were to start switching to running, you think you're using the same muscles, but in my experience, you're using completely different muscles. And so I think that strength training is super important as you first start out with running, because everything's not really where it should be. If you're like me and you sit in an office all day, like none of those muscles are in good shape. So how did you become a coach? You said you're a coach. Tell us about that.
After like I started getting into it, I think as I was like in my cycle for like my second set of marathons, I was like, I need to understand this for myself, right? Like I was paying a coach, and some of the things he was saying was making sense to me. Other things weren't. I'm like, I can do this myself, like, right? Like I can like go and like learn and like figure this all out. So I took the class, passed the test, and now I'm a coach.
Is there anything that you're afraid of? Because from what I can tell, you just decide you're going to do something and then you go do it.
Oh, that's totally me. That's just who, that's who I am as a person. Like I'm also like, so I graduate in May, I'm getting my doctorate. And that's like another thing where it's like, yeah, let's try this. Like, let's do this. And like, I applied, and then, oh, well, you actually got accepted and now you have to do the work. You have to do the work. But yeah, no, that's kind of like who I am. It's like I see something and it's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And then I do my best to make it happen.
What's your doctorate in?
So my doctorate is in entrepreneurial leadership and education. So I was a teacher for a really long time, and now I work in the nonprofit space. So it's all about improving education.
Okay. That's awesome. Is your goal to use that to like teach at the collegiate level or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounded like
I do that now like on the side because I don't have enough to do. But yeah, I'm doing that now on the side. And as soon as I graduate, hoping to move that to my full-time position.
How do you have time for running and working out? Like and coaching?
I'm tired all of the time.
I can't imagine why.
So like my alarm goes off at like 4:00 in the morning, and like that's usually when I get schoolwork done. And then like I go to the gym at like 6. By the time I get home at like 7:00, I'm dead to the world. And everybody doesn't understand. They're like, well, why don't you want to go out? Like, why don't you want to do this? Like, literally exhausted. Like, I physically can't. But everything sort of ends in May. Like, the 6th marathon majors will be over in April. I graduated May. And then comes June. And it's like, what do I do now?
I know. I was just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, exactly. And like, I think about that. And like most people are like, oh, like that's going to be so relaxing. And like, I'm like wired so weird. It's like giving me anxiety. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Something big, probably.
She's going to start a band.
Yeah. She'll probably go after her law degree next.
Yeah.
No more school. My student loans, man, I could probably afford a mansion in like San Francisco. So we're not even gonna, school is done.
Okay, got it. That's awesome.
What do you feel like has been able to keep yourself motivated through all this?
I don't think anything, right? Because like some days you wake up and you don't want to, right? Like you don't want to do anything, and it's just like you have to. Right? It's like you sort of like you have this goal and like you're working towards this thing and you have no choice. And I feel like that's a crappy position to be in, but at the same time, like that's what keeps you going even when there is no motivation left. Like I have a 20-mile run on Sunday, and it's Monday, and I'm already dreading Sunday. Like I know I don't want to do it, but I have no choice. Like I have to wake up and I have to get it done.
Okay, why do you have to?
Well, because I've come so far, right? Like you don't come so far to just come this far.
Okay.
So if I don't run the 20, then like what happens when I go into Tokyo, right? Like the Tokyo Marathon has insane cutoffs. Most marathons have an ending cutoff, right? Like you kind of do what you need to do on the course, you get to the end by a certain point, and you're good.
Yeah.
Tokyo, every 5K, they have a cutoff. So it's like if you stop to go to the bathroom in the first 5K, and like you get there and they have closed the road, you're done.
No.
Wow.
So, yeah. And
I've heard it's like one of those wacky game shows, and they drop you down a tunnel into a big giant thing of foam. Is that true?
That would make it more exciting.
If it's not true, just tell us it is. We don't want to know.
Goofball.
You could totally see the Japanese doing that, though.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or like just like throwing like slime on you, like from the other side of the rope. Yes. Like, sorry guys, you're done now.
Okay, so when is the Tokyo Marathon?
Tokyo is March 1st.
Okay, are you a little worried with the coronavirus?
I am absolutely terrified. And like that's why like sort of like Miami half marathon yesterday was sort of like a pace thing for me, right? Like how fast can I go? And for how long can I go that fast?
How did you do?
Not great in the half because it was so hot and my body was just not used to it. My boyfriend usually runs like under like a 2-hour half, and he did not do well yesterday either. But for the parts where like the weather felt good and like I felt good, I'm averaging now about 11 minutes per mile, which is good considering I finished New York City at like 16 minutes a mile. So I'm getting faster and I'm getting better, but like one wrong thing could happen in Tokyo and I'm screwed. Oh. So like, I just have to like everything else, right? Like you can't stop. Like you just have to keep going. And I'm like, I'm not going to stop to use the bathroom. Like you just go. Like that's it. You just keep going.
I'm pretty sure if you can run with a fractured foot, you're gonna tap dance through there without peeing. You'll be fine.
When I have to pee, I do my best tap dance.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just to make me run faster. Be like, I really gotta go.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure you put on yourself. Do you ever feel like that adds too much stress, or do you just kind of always turn it back into motivation?
It depends on the day. It really does depend on the day. Like, to say that, like, I don't wake up with anxiety about the Tokyo Marathon would be a lie. I absolutely, like, totally anxious, like, totally have, like, dreams of, like, so at the end of the line, they have, like, these people with, like, balloons on them that, like, say that it's done. So, like, I have nightmares now of, like, people with balloons, like, holding balloons.
Don't go see the movie It.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to say. It's like Pennywise, like, really, like, haunting my dreams.
Wow.
But it's like, right, like, I signed up. I, like, paid a ton of money to do it. So we're going to go, and I'm going to do my best and see what happens. And if I have to do it again, then I'll have to do it again.
So how far in advance do you get there in order to kind of get used to the time change?
So I live in New York. I am leaving on Wednesday. I get there on Thursday. So it's going to be
marathon is what, Sunday?
The marathon is Sunday, yeah.
Okay, so you got a little bit of time to kind of
little bit of time.
And you'll be tapering, so you'll have lots of time to stress yourself out.
Exactly.
And then when do you come back?
I come back on Monday night.
Okay.
So you get a little bit of time.
Not much.
A little bit of time after. A little bit of time to, like, kind of, like, flush out the legs. Because yesterday when we finished Miami, we got right on a plane. And, like, today, like, I feel like an 80-year-old woman. Like, parts of me are hurting that should not be hurting. So sitting on a plane right after was not the best idea I ever had.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Wow. I mean, I'm so excited for you. I'm also intimidated
Thank
for you. I mean, as a person who, like, I am always afraid I take on too much and I have anxiety. It's hard for me not to project all of my anxiety onto you. I'm like, oh my God, you only have a month and there's this flu and.
Oh, that's like the other thing. Like oh my God. Like, so I'm in like all of like the marathon Facebook groups, which are, you know, people who have done it before, like giving you tips about whatever. And like every single time, like I open Facebook, it's like, are people not going because of coronavirus? It's like, we're all going. Like, we're all going to go.
Yeah.
I think because the Hong Kong Marathon was canceled, like that kind of like sent waves through like Japan is not China. Like, it's two separate countries.
Right.
And, like,
Absolutely.
for people who like, I'm like trying to explain, it's like if a flu broke out in Toronto, it doesn't mean I'm not going to go to Florida. Like, it's separate.
It absolutely is, you know.
And also, like, you can't live your life in fear either. That's
exactly
how I was with good stuff. I'm just like, you know, I'm very fatalistic.
He is. That's true.
Yeah.
That's why we're a good match, because I get all worked up, and he's like, it'll be fine.
What's the likelihood? What's the likelihood?
The worst that could happen.
Get coronavirus is a good story.
Unless you die.
As long as you live through it, it's a good story.
Well, that's not going to happen to you because, like you said, Japan is not in the middle of China. It's outside of it. And there aren't that many cases in Japan. It's almost all in China. So you'll be, and I'm sure you'll be monitoring if it moves. So
no, absolutely. And if I don't, somebody on a Facebook group will like set up some kind of crazy alert letting us all know.
No doubt.
Yeah.
The internet is good when it comes to panicking.
Right.
They won't.
Oh my God.
They won't miss an opportunity.
You know, at the same time, I feel like this is a good time for you. You've been training for several years now. You've had lots of things happen, and you've overcome every single one of them. So this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one.
Thank you.
So, what is your leaderboard name, and why isn't it Energizer Bunny?
So my leaderboard name is actually Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that'll do.
I'll allow it.
And so a few years ago when sort of all of this started and I started school, somebody just kind of like in an offhanded way, like said it in a sentence. And I was like, okay, I'll take that. And that's my Peloton identity now.
I love it. Yeah. That's great. I love that you're so positive about it. Like you have all these things, all these plates in the air, and you're just like, I got it. You just keep going.
You have to. Because one plate falls, it all comes crashing down.
Well, do you have any advice for people just starting their journey?
I think if you are starting your journey with fitness or with running, it's just mind over matter, right? Get your mind right first. If you get your mind right, then your body will follow, right? Like never ever say that you can't, right? And I feel like that's something that a lot of the Peloton instructors say all the time. Like you can, you absolutely can. There is no reason, unless there is like a physical reason that you can't, you can. So just sort of like wrap your head around whatever it is that you want for yourself. If that's even just like going outside and running a mile for the first time, get that in your head and set the plan and get out there every single day until you have completed that mile. And then it's like, I feel like from there, like once you do like that one thing that you think you couldn't do, it's like, all right, I got this. Like, what else can I do? And it just kind of like grows from there.
That's great advice.
It is. I find it fascinating how different people are motivated by different things, because I don't know which instructor it is, but the one that's always like, you don't have to, you get to. And you're the exact opposite.
Sims, yeah.
You're like, no, you have to.
But both of those are valid.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
She's not
You
saying
know
you
what?
have
Two
to.
ex-teachers there. So I guess you could see how our classrooms were different.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a very good point. Very good point.
But it's just interesting how different people take to different things as their philosophy on how to tackle things.
Yeah, because I feel like you're kind of like, you are a person who shows up for yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, you do it. There is no option to not do it. And let me tell you, that's great for people who have that ability. But there are those of us who can justify the shit out of any reason to not show up. I mean, if I have a tummy ache, I probably shouldn't be running. I'm pretty sure, you know, like I can totally talk myself out of anything. And so, you know, there's good. It's both of those are really good to have both of those kinds of pushing out there available to people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, another thing is write it down. Like, that's something that I am big on. Like, every single day I write down everything I have to do. And like, I feel like, I don't know, like I have this like weird feeling, like if I go to bed and like there's something on there that I didn't do that I was supposed to do. I think like having it in writing, like having it in front of your face all day is like a reminder, like you need to get out there today. And like, you need to do this and that.
Do you ever put things on there that you just want to get to that you don't have to get to?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And then like, that's when I will sort of like rationalize in my head, like, oh, I could totally move that to like Tuesday.
Okay.
Right. And then like Tuesday becomes Thursday and, you know, but yeah, things like that. But I think for the most part, like my running, my school, it's usually, and this is awful, and I hope nobody from my job listens, but I feel like most of the time it's like my employment stuff. And it's like, I can do that another day. Like I gotta like, you know, I have deadlines for school and I gotta get out there today and run, and I have strength training in the afternoon. Oh, I was supposed to, that was a deadline. I'll have that for you guys on Friday. It's all about which priorities we have.
That's absolutely true. And Robin says that all the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll make two versions of this, one that you can share with your coworkers and then one for everybody else. Well,
I love my job. What are you talking about? I do everything for them first.
That's going in the version for your coworker, for sure.
We'll use that as a pull quote at the beginning, and they probably won't even listen to the
There
end.
you go.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. Before we go, where can people find you on social media if you would, in fact, like to be found?
They can find me on social media. On Instagram is usually the easiest. My Instagram is at RangersGirl, RangersGrl.
Awesome. And thank you for being so flexible about the interview time. I really appreciate that.
No problem. It was a thing that I got to move off of my to-do list. So I was like, perfect.
Yeah, she loves to procrastinate. So ultimately, you're welcome.
Well, good luck with Tokyo.
Yes.
And keep us updated because we would love to hear how that turns out. And tell us if we'll put your finisher picture in our newsletter that week. So that would be awesome.
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys.
Talk to you later.
So I guess that brings another one to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
We are going to talk to Priyanka Gadinsky, who was a joy to talk to. And and when I say was, like she still is, that's
right.
Not just in past tense. And she has such a fabulous weight loss story to tell, but it's not just weight loss, it's what she did with it afterwards, how she has changed everything in her life. You guys are not going to want to miss this.
Awesome. Well, until then, where can people find you?
People can find me at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, on the bike, and of course the tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're getting your podcast from. And of course, swing on by theclipout.com where you can sign up for the newsletter and get everything emailed to you in one concise newsletter format. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running.